Recently, I made a video about the Volvo EX90, their new electric car. Now, I have some comments about it and there are some parts that I don't like in terms of exterior, but the main gripe that I have is the interior. Especially with having these DIY looking displays. The speedometer is basically a squash top tablet and then you have a really large Samsung tablet in the middle. It just doesn't look right. So today's challenge is to, instead of saying it looks bad, see if we can fix it. So that's today's challenge, is trying to fix the design of the Volvo EX90. Because that interior needs a lot of work. Wow, Volvo, have you dropped the ball on that one? Anyway, let's jump into it. So this is the Volvo EX90. Now, as I stated, I want to keep some elements of the interior of the Volvo EX90. The main focus will be the dash and not so much the steering wheel, even though I have comments about it, especially how they did this logo. That jet black inside the logo itself doesn't look right. Anyway, let's discuss, of course, what the idea is behind this redesign of the interior. The main thing that I want to keep is, of course, this shape right here. This is some element that I have to retain. I need to retain some of the DNA that we see right here. Same for these fans, for instance. And of course, having a larger display. But those things are also the problem. But the main thing is that this display, this large display, feels like a DIY. It feels like Volvo was like, oh shit, we forgot the display. Let's somehow just buy a tablet somewhere and just push it on there. And the same goes for, of course, the speedometer. The speedometer for me, for instance, always needs a home. It looks better. Heck, that's something that you will see a lot in Volvo interiors. Everything seems to have their own position and own home, but everything feels connected. That's the idea about this redesign. Wanting to reconnect everything while keeping elements of the current Volvo EX90 interior. So as stated, one of those elements is of course how it's shaped and of course some parts about it aside from that. So let's just jump into drawing and see what we can come up with. Before we showcase the full design, I want to focus on some element changes that I made. For one, there are of course no gears and no shift here because it's a full electric car. This place, however, I have a place wooden button that you can rotate for your aircon control. Left, right and so on. You get the drift here. Because I feel like buttons are still important to have instead of looking around on your display to control this. Now of course you also want some proper audio control, and with that I feel like you either do it via your steering wheel or press the button below that control that you use for your aircon and it switches to you having audio control for volume up or down. And for that whole area I basically kept what we have on current Volvos, because for me, without a doubt, it looks more styleful than we are seeing on the Volvo EX90. And of course, making sure that the dashboard is connected to it as well, instead of having things look separated, which is again something that is unlike Volvo. So let's talk about the changes I made to the dashboard. And of course, don't forget to let me know how you feel about the official EX90 interior, and of course what you think about my interior. Let's begin with one really important thing, the speedometer. This should never look like Volvo has done it with their current Volvo EX90. It simply looks like they slapped a display behind the wheel. It looks cheap and it looks lazy. So welcome back, the home for the speedometer. This in itself just gives me again that feeling that Volvo is known for. Everything is connected and everything has their own home at the same time. This allows for the interior to look somewhat homely. It looks more cleaner, it looks more sophisticated than a cheap, weird looking tablet. And while we are on the subject of a tablet, the very hard to miss tablet on the EX90 is my biggest issue with current interiors of cars. With this approach, every single car looks like a DIY. It doesn't matter how good the build quality is and how well everything around it is designed, the slap of the display on top of the dashboard just doesn't look right. It looks cheap and I feel like they shouldn't do it like this in any car. And to me, it looks like someone just placed it there with some double-sided tape. I know, it's harsh, but that's how it comes over to me. So again, one point that I really want to address is giving it a home. Feel like it is connected to that dashboard. And of course, slight rotation towards the driver for better and faster control. By the way, what you are seeing on the display itself, the 2D art, is done by Adrian. Be sure to check him out in the description, and thank you for making that amazing display to showcase one of the best albums. The others are of course from Michael Jackson as well. Either way, these are the major changes that I made for the Volvo EX90 Interior. It sounds in general pretty simple, and to a degree it is. The hardest part about it was to simply make sure I keep some of the DNA that we see on the current Volvo EX90 and change it to my liking, but also something that Volvo is known for. Having own homes for everything, where everything feels connected. Either way, I'm very curious what your opinion about it is, so do let me know in the comments below. And of course, let me know if you are, of course, an old subscriber, what you think of this kind of video. Either way, have a good one, and talk to you guys in the next.